Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're an SMB or an Amazon FBA seller sourcing on Alibaba, finding a reliable freight forwarder from China to the US is, well, it can literally make or break your business. Today, we're taking a massive directory of logistics intel from AGB Logistics and turning it into a super practical toolkit for you. We're going to show you exactly how to read between the lines of those Alibaba forwarder reviews so you can dodge the hidden traps and find a shipping partner you actually trust. Let's get right into it.
Here's our roadmap. We'll quickly cover the global logistics landscape, choosing your shipping method, decoding those tricky freight costs, finding reliable forwarders, specialized shipping and FBA, and finally, building a smarter supply chain.
All right, part one, the global logistics landscape, understanding the stakes.
The journey from a factory floor in, say, Shenzhen to a warehouse in New York, it's packed with complex variables. Get this, in the AEB Logistics Freight Glossary, there are over 100 essential terms and FAQs you need to grasp, literally 100. And misunderstanding just one little acronym, that can turn a highly profitable shipment into a really expensive permanent port decoration. So your knowledge here is absolutely crucial. It's your first line of defense.
Okay, moving on to Section 2. Choosing your shipping method, speed versus cost.
So, choosing between the blazing speed of air cargo and the rock-bottom cost of sea freight, it fundamentally changes your entire strategy. Air freight is your go-to for lightweight, high-value, or just incredibly urgent shipments, right? But you're going to pay a serious premium for that speed. Sea freight, on the other hand, is the undisputed heavyweight champ of cost-effectiveness, especially for bulk. It takes a lot longer for sure, but those massive savings, that's what actually keeps most importers competitive.
Now, if you go with sea freight, your next major decision is all about container space. FCL, or full container load, gives you the whole box exclusively. It generally means faster handling since no one has to unpack and sort it at the destination. But if you don't have enough product to fill a whole container, LCL, less than container load, is perfect. You just share the space, and more importantly, you share the cost. It's a real game changer for smaller shipments, even if it adds a little time for deconsolidation at the end.
Which brings us to Section 3, decoding freight shipping costs, beyond the basic quote.
You know those Incoterms like FOB, CIF, and DDP? They're essentially the ultimate contract deciding who pays when things go wrong. They shift the exact risks and costs between you and your supplier. Under FOB, or free on board, your supplier pays to get the goods onto the ship and you handle the rest. Gives you total control. With DDP, delivered duty paid, the seller handles almost the whole shebang right to your door. Super convenient, but you usually pay a hefty premium for it. And then there's CIF, cost, insurance, and freight, where the supplier pays to get it to your destination port. Sounds amazing, right? Well, hold that thought.
When you see a furious one-star review on an Alibaba forwarder's profile complaining about a bait-and-switch or a quote-unquote scam, it's usually just a massive misunderstanding of CIF terms. So, what hidden fees are actually lurking there? A lot of beginners mistakenly think CIF means the goods will magically show up at their warehouse for that initial quoted price. Spoiler alert, they won't.
It becomes incredibly obvious why relying on CIF can absolutely destroy your profit margins. When an importer leaves a review saying their cargo was held hostage, what actually happened is the supplier's local agent stepped in at the US port. Suddenly, the buyer gets hit with totally inflated destination port charges, unexpected customs brokerage fees, and huge demurrage penalties if the paperwork slows down. Because you didn't hire the forwarder directly, you have zero control over the timeline and literally no leverage to negotiate.
To dodge those terrifying financial surprises, you have to calculate your true landed cost. The ocean freight itself, that's just one tiny slice of the pie. When you're mapping out your budget, you absolutely must factor in customs brokerage, import duties, tariffs, and that final trucking leg right to your warehouse door. A genuinely reliable shipping quote maps all this out up front so you aren't left in the dark.
All right, Section 4, finding reliable freight forwarders, your strategic partner.
Before we talk about finding the best partners, we really need to talk about spotting fraudulent or deceptive profiles on Alibaba. Bad actors will manipulate reviews or use these unbelievably low bait-and-switch quotes, only to hold your cargo for ransom later. Identifying a scammer starts with knowing exactly how to read their track record. So here's the secret to reading those Alibaba reviews to protect yourself. Do not just blindly trust a generic 5-star rating. Actually dig into the written reviews and search specifically for mentions of, quote, accuracy and responsiveness. You're looking for a top-tier partner with transparent, itemized pricing, someone who doesn't hide behind confusing jargon.
If past clients are constantly praising a dedicated account manager who gave them live shipment tracking, well, you've likely found a winner. Once you've vetted their reviews, it's time for the ultimate test. Follow these exact steps to negotiate the best possible quote. Actually providing a well-researched target price up front shows the forwarder you know your stuff and you aren't an easy mark. Make sure you compare their services side by side, verify their customs expertise, and confirm they have real-time tracking before you ever sign anything.
Let's dive into Section 5, Specialized Shipping and FBA, Tailoring to Your Needs.
Listen, Amazon FBA has absolutely ruthless compliance standards. I mean, they are incredibly strict about how pallets are built, how boxes are labeled, and exactly when deliveries can be scheduled. This is exactly why you have to check a forwarder's Alibaba reviews for specific, successful FBA experience. If your goods arrive at an Amazon fulfillment center out of compliance, they'll be rejected instantly, and that means massive repacking fees and lost sales you could have totally avoided.
Now, if you're an industrial importer bringing in heavy machinery, it's a completely different ballgame. You don't just toss a mini excavator or a precision CNC machine into a standard shipping box. You've got to deal with weight distribution, anti-rust packaging, specialized loading gear, and rigorous safety compliance for U.S. Customs. Your forwarder absolutely needs proven, documented case studies showing they can handle your exact type of complex cargo.
But no matter what you're shipping, understanding the final steps after your cargo hits the U.S. port is vital. Take LCL shipments, for example. The container is unloaded and sent to a container freight station or CFS warehouse. There, it's deconsolidated, which just means your stuff is separated from everyone else's. Only after customs officially releases your cargo can you schedule that final trucking leg right to your door.
Oh, and whatever you do, please do not underestimate the massive disruption of the Lunar New Year. During this time, factories just shut down, port capacity plummets, and shipping rates go through the roof. Actually, if you look closely at Alibaba forwarder profiles, the absolute worst reviews usually pop up around this time of year, mostly because importers just didn't plan ahead. If you aren't forecasting your inventory and booking freight way in advance of these holidays, your entire supply chain is going to freeze. Simple as that.
Finally, Section 6, a smarter supply chain, tying it all together.
Logistics really isn't just about moving a box from A to B, it is the absolute backbone of your customer satisfaction. Think of it like this. Evaluating those Alibaba forwarder reviews essentially protects your own Amazon or retail reviews. If your shipments are constantly delayed because of bad customs planning, or if hidden shipping costs force you to jack up your retail prices, your customers are the ones paying the price. Bad logistics upstream, it always equals angry customers downstream. So let me ask you this. Are you ready to stop letting hidden fees eat your profit margins? The next time you open Alibaba, don't just stare at the bottom line freight price. Look closely at those reviews. Use the frameworks we talked about today to analyze those profiles for real quote accuracy and communication. Demand true transparency from your partners and finally take control of your global freight. Thanks for joining this explainer.